St. John, New Brunswick, Canada, is a seaport located on the Bay of Fundy on the Atlantic Ocean. I arrived in St. John on an Oceania Cruise. After cruising to Scotland, Faroe Islands, Iceland, and Greenland, this was my second stop in Canada. The ship was slightly delayed coming into port, which affected our touring. I had registered for a tour called the Bay of Fundy Coastal Photography Excursion. The tour description stated that it would take us to picturesque settings in and around St. John. It would also take us to the St. John River to see the tides reverse, and along the way we would get helpful tips from a professional photographer. This all sounded like a trip right up my alley, since I love exploring nature and capturing it through photography and videography. Because of our late start, we visited our destinations in a reverse order. Our small minibus headed directly through the town of St. John to Fallsview Park, so we could catch the tidal phenomenon known as reversing falls rapids. The tide was going out rapidly at that point, so you could see the water moving swiftly. If you are there when the tide rises, the seawater volume increases so quickly that the St. John River actually flows backwards. I asked the guide if it was unsafe to boat in these waters because of the rapidly changing tides, and he said it was actually illegal except for professionals. Once the tide goes out, there is a moment of stasis, and then the tide reverses every river that flows into the bay. Pretty cool. Our next stop was Wharf Landing, which frankly I found to be an odd space to stop. The guide told us that the city was beautifying this entire area so you could walk along the wharf. However, the place we stopped was a glorified parking lot, so I wasn't enthralled. There's a painted path where you can evidently walk around the harbor. It looked like it might be more interesting on the other side. Fortunately, we didn't stay long and were given some photography tips to make the stop more worthwhile. We took a long drive away from the town, passing an oil refinery and residential homes. Our destination was Mispec Beach, which was worth the drive. It was a long, sandy beach flanked by tall pine trees. We were given time to practice our new photography tips. There were easy steps down to the beach and some interesting driftwood by the shore. I walked in both directions along the shore, taking video of the waves and enjoying the solitude. It was windy that day, which made for more interesting videography. Our next stop was Cape Spenser and the Cape Spenser Lighthouse. It was the most dramatic and scenic spot of the day. I took a plethora of photos. However, because of the change in schedule, we were looking into the sun, so didn't have the best lighting for photography. Still, the cliffs were gorgeous with the waves crashing along the shore. There was a lighthouse too, which we were all encouraged to photograph hiding the graffiti at the bottom. Not bad, huh? I didn't get to see much of the town of St. John except for passing through. There was a mixture of old and new buildings. I understand there is an historic downtown area that might be worth a visit. Instead of going into town, we were taken back to Fallsview Park to see how the tides had changed. The tides were now at stasis, so there was little movement. Quite a dramatic difference. As the boat was leaving St. John, we enjoyed a beautiful sunset along the coast. I have posted additional videos on my 30-day land and cruise journey to Scotland, Iceland, Greenland, Canada, and more, which I have listed in the description below. If you have questions, feel free to ask in the comments section, and please subscribe to follow other destinations on this trip. For senior and solo travelers, check out two new resources, the Senior Solo Travel website and the Facebook forum where you can interact with other travelers. I've included links to both in the description. And if you'd like to follow my senior and solo travel journeys, please like and subscribe. Next stop, Boston, Massachusetts.